Hi, this is Joël Meyer. This is the 5th video in the series on the construction of the giant Nutcracker. In this video, I will show you how to create the hands and also how to paint the mouth and the various details of the costume. You will need 2 large styrofoam balls to create the hands of your Nutcracker. Depending on the case, you may have to cut a slice from the styrofoam balls on the side of the hand that faces the legs. It depends on the size of the legs relative to the body. Paint the styrofoam balls in the same color you used to paint the head. If you decide that your Nutcracker wears white gloves, paint the styrofoam balls in white. For a beautiful finish, put several layers of paint. To let the balls dry on all sides, stick one end of a wooden skewer into the ball and the other end in a large styrofoam board. While the styrofoam balls dry, you can work the details of the costume of the Nutcracker. I will describe how I decorated my Nutcracker, but feel free to create your own decorations to make your project unique. On the arms, I painted 2 white gold bands, one for the wrists and the other for the shoulder pads. Use masking tape to delineate the areas you want to paint. To paint in gold, start by painting the stripes with ochre paint. When the paint is dry, add 1 or 2 coats of gold paint. Gold is a very transparent color, and that's why I suggest that you start with 1 coat of ochre. When you are satisfied with the result and the paint is dry, carefully remove the masking tape. Proceed the same way for the legs and the torso of the Nutcracker. In my case, I chose to paint a golden band along the outside of the legs, and I used the same technique as for the arms. For the torso, I chose to paint a black band to represent the color of the Nutcracker. The height of the color is the same as the height of the lower jaw. Keep a space where you will transfer the pattern for the teeth later. I also chose to paint a black belt at the waist of the Nutcracker. To make the belt buckle, draw the pattern that you will find in the supporting document on Bristol board. Cut out the belt buckle and start by painting a coat of ochre paint. When the paint is dry, add 1 or 2 coats of gold paint. Glue the buckle in the middle of the black belt. Between the belt and the collar, I painted horizontal golden stripes. Proceed as you did with the arms and legs and frame the areas you want to paint with masking tape and then paint them. Let dry before removing the masking tape. If the paint spilled over the masking tape in some places, you can still make small corrections. To add a more realistic touch, you can also glue gold buttons. For my part, I put one at each end of the golden stripes that I had painted on his chest. Remove the metallic eyelet from the back of each button and glue the buttons in place with hot glue. When you have finished the details of the torso, place the head on the torso exactly as you want it to be when the Nutcracker will be completed. Align the nose with the middle of the neck. Take the pattern of the teeth from the supporting document and draw the outline of the upper jaw on the head and the lower jaw in the space in the color that you have not painted. Paint these 2 spaces in white. Put several coats of paint if necessary. To facilitate painting the mouth, you don't have to keep the head aligned with the torso, as long as you follow the outlines you traced. Then, take the pattern of the mouth again, cut out the contour of the teeth and draw them on the upper and lower jaw that you have painted. Paint the gums and the space between the teeth red. Use a fairly thin brush for the details between the teeth. With a stencil brush, take a small amount of pink or red paint and rub the brush on wax paper or on a styrofoam tray until you have only a trace of dry paint left. Then, paint 2 pink circles on the cheeks by making round motion with the brush. Do the same on the bridge of the nose. Draw a mustache on thick 14-ply cardboard. You will find the pattern in the supporting document. Cut out the mustache. Paint the mustache in the color of your choice. In this case, I painted the mustache white. I chose the same color as the hair. Although the 14-ply cardboard is white, painting the mustache will give a nicer result. Glue the mustache under the nose of the Nutcracker with the glue gun. Place the hat on the head and draw a line that will indicate where to put the hair. For the hair, I used long-haired artificial fur. Measure the height that you want for the hair and cut a strip of fur of that height and make sure it's long enough. Glue the hair in place with the glue gun. Make the strip of fur a bit longer than necessary and cut the excess. Cut a small rectangle of artificial fur to create the goatee. This rectangle must have the same width as the mouth. Glue the goatee under the mouth. Take the hat and put white glue on the tabs. Glue the hat in place on the head of the Nutcracker. Take the arms and glue the hands in place. Depending on the details you have painted for the arms, remember to consider what the position of the hands will be relative to the body. Put hot glue on the inside edge of the arm and glue the hand in place. Hold in place until the hot glue sets. To strengthen the bond, add a bead of thick white glue around the hand. The white glue becomes transparent when it dries. Follow me on my YouTube channel and on my website to access the next video in which I will explain how to assemble the Nutcracker. See you soon!